Wrestling fans, don't come for me, but these superstars might just be more hype than substance. Here are my top 5 most overrated wrestlers from the WWE. Welcome back, internet wrestling community. It's another episode of Romi's Wrestling's Hot Takes. I hope that landed this time. Anyways, welcome back for episode 3. And today we're going to cover a subject matter that might upset some of you, or you'll probably end up agreeing with me in most cases. But before that, I do want to say another huge thank you to our subscriber base, to our fans that are actually taking in the content that we're producing daily, and it's working. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, and honestly, from the bottom of my heart and Sean's heart, even though he's not a part of this, we want to say thank you, because that means the engagement is working, that means the content is flowing, and guess what? No fire alarm today. But who knows what else we might be surprised with. Nonetheless, like I mentioned, thank you again. We are trying to get monetized. We want to make this channel the #1 priority in our lives. Obviously, we have to have day jobs to be able to balance everything, but we really enjoy bringing you this content. And it seems like everybody else that's tuning in, you guys really like it, so we're really happy to produce it as well. So again, before we get started, we want to say thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. Please tell your friends and family that are into this type of content because, we want to spread the awareness and love globally. So shout out to everybody that's tuned in and shout out to everybody that's going to tune in because this episode is going to be fire. So without any hesitation or any longer what am I trying to say here? Let's just get into it. Bam. So top 5 wrestlers that I think are absolutely overrated. And number 5, we're going to start with the king of overrated. No, I'm just kidding. No, not the GOAT. His name is Bill Goldberg. Yes, that Bill Goldberg, the one we all know, the one we might all love. Don't get me wrong. Growing up, I thought Bill Goldberg was an animal, was a monster. He was in WCW undefeated. I think it was like 140 or 160. I'm not actually sure how many matches he won, but he was the next big thing before Brock Lesnar. Like Goldberg was the definition of squash matches. Like that dude would just reel through everybody, right? Incredible prowess, incredible aura. The saying, aura, infinity aura. I'm not Gen Z. I'm not that young, right? Old nerdy. Anyways, he was the definition of that. But as time moved on and as he departed from WCW, even before that, and came to the WWE, well, fans started to question a little bit about how much he could go in the ring, if you know what I mean, right? So let's keep a couple things buck, as they say, right? He dominated with short matches, and his in-ring skill wasn't really there, right? Like he was just power over substance, right? Spear, jackhammer, a couple of flips here and there, boom, pin, 1, 2, 3. Great. But from a wrestling standpoint, dude was mediocre isn't even the term I should be using for this. Then let's talk about promos, right? Like he had all the energy in the world, right? Going back to the aura thing. He was so energetic and everything, but his promos never landed. They never went anywhere. He just kind of yelled through everything. And don't get me wrong, I get it. Bill, he's not a wrestling guy. He was a football guy, right? And he came into wrestling out of desperation, needed finance, and, whatever the case might have been to support his life. He needed to put food on the table. I get it. He had the look, and WCW and Eric Bischoff made him into what he is, or what he was, rather. Some things you can't change. Like, if you don't got passion for the business, you're not going to be good on the mic. Promos, yes, you can learn and you can get better. And by the way, number 3 on our list, we'll go into details of how that individual became exceptionally good at promos. But if you don't have love for the business, or if you don't really understand the business, and it's not something you think about outside of when you're clocked in, you're not going to be good at it. You're not going to excel at it. And that's where Bill, kind of fell apart, to be honest with you. So promo skills, not the greatest either. And he had a pretty short career, right? Like he peaked pretty early in his career, and he's still ranked among the legends, which to me is like, don't get me wrong, I got a buddy who absolutely loves Bill Goldberg, and he's the man to him, right? But I wouldn't put him in the category of legends. I mean, he's legendary in the sense that he had an impact on the business, yes, being the dominant force, but as an all-rounder, he's not great. And in fact, shout out to my buddy Arthur, who used to play Here Comes the Pain with me when we were younger. He would always pick Goldberg. And the reason for that, it's very simple. He had a 3-move arsenal. He'd do that stupid kick to the side, a spear, and a jackhammer, right? He was OP'd. But that's kind of how Goldberg was in real life. He wasn't very incredible in the ring, as I said, right? And then finally, the other thing that really kind of sucked and hurted Goldberg's legacy, I should say, is his backstage relationships. his interactions with people and other wrestlers, you can look it up. He isn't very liked. So it's more than just wrestling. The dude is rather one of the least liked people in the back, right? He's got interactions with Matt Riddle and other individuals. I've heard that he's just not really, he's not nice to work with, okay? That's the truth of the matter. So Bill Goldberg, I'm sorry, dude, you're number 5 on this list. And I think for a lot of wrestling fans, you might just be that guy. And we ain't gonna forget the Saudi Arabia shows. You almost took out our boy Undertaker. Like, Jesus, I think it's time to hang it up, Bill. And there are rumors that you might be coming back to face Gunther. I don't know if that's true. Gunther might just put a hurting on you. I'm just saying. Anyways, moving along to number 4. The next one on my list is another one that actually, I guess you could say, was the blueprint for Goldberg. And at number 4, we have the Ultimate Warrior. Yes, when I was 6, man, I was obsessed with the Ultimate Warrior. He had the look, right? Back to the statement of the aura. Ultimate Warrior had it. He had an incredible look, insane entrance, energy. He was chaos. But once he got into the ring, you could tell how bad he really was. I mean, a couple of clotheslines and a splash and bam, he didn't have the work rate. He didn't understand wrestling psychology. Ultimate Warrior, he looked really good, but yeah, didn't really perform very well. Like, just picture just a, attractive girl or a guy, incredible looking, right? They've got this beauty. And then you have a conversation with them and then it just falls apart. Forget the bedroom. They're just terrible at talking. That's kind of where the Ultimate Warrior is at, right? So great entrance, great energy, terrible in-ring work. Another guy who really, really sucked at promos. Now, when you're a kid in the 90s, the energy is there. It's palpable. He's shaking the ring, right? It's cool. But the truth is, as you get older and you listen to his promos, they were really bad. Like, again, like Bill, they had a lot of anger and energy. Delivery, it made no sense. Nothing got across. Nobody understood what the hell he was talking about. And to be frank with you, it's one of his weaker points, right? So yeah, I wouldn't say he's one of the best there. And also another example, and this is why I said he's the blueprint from Goldberg, of an individual who is ranked among the legends, had a very minuscule career in the WWE, came back later when he was off the roids, if you know what I'm saying, and just fell flat. He went to WCW, tried to have the same gimmick, didn't work out. So it's kind of crazy to me that he's up there with the legends, but I guess when you think about wrestling, it's more than just in-ring work or promo skills. It's the impact you've had on the industry overall. And I'd say, yeah, Ultimate Warrior's had some form of an impact. And you know what? When he did come back in 2014 and was inducted to the Hall of Fame and all that, I think he came back with a better attitude as a human being, and he had a lot more to offer. It's unfortunate that he didn't live past that episode of Raw, which is really sad. But again, in-ring work was terrible. Promo skills were terrible. He's another individual that had really poor relationships backstage. It was more than just Hulk Hogan or Macho Man. There was tons of people that had nothing really good to say about the Ultimate Warrior. And one of his biggest, I guess you could say, haters would have been Vince McMahon. And that's the guy that was running the organization. That's the guy that came up with the gimmick. That's the guy that made Ultimate Warrior who he is. And he still didn't get along with the dude. So Ultimate Warrior, yes, sir, I am sorry. You ranked number 4 on the top 5 most overrated wrestlers, and for good reason. Now, moving along to number 3. Now, this one might piss off a few people. I'm sorry. The thing is, number 3 is actually my tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And yes, wait. Before you come with the pitchforks, there's a very good reason why I chose Roman Reigns. I'm talking about early days of Roman Reigns. I'm talking about the big dog. I'm not talking about our tribal chief, right? Early days, man, how do I say this? Number 3 most overrated wrestler was Roman Reigns prior to tribal chief. And yeah, look, he was forced down our throats. He was going to be the next big thing for WWE and Vince McMahon. And they had this vision because Roman looked good. He had this presence. He's from the Samoan dynasty. And then he had horrible in-ring presence. And I mean, look, the dude could work, but if you look at his FCW days or even NXT days, I mean, he wasn't really in NXT, but the early days, he had terrible promo skills. And I mean, terrible. Anybody remember Suffering Succotash? Oh my God. Or when John Cena cooked him in 2017 on the mic, my God, I didn't think there was any way back for Roman Reigns at that point, but Roman really lacked in those areas. And the other thing is, from 2015 to like 2018, or 2019 or whatever, fans really hated him being shoved down their throats. Like, they rejected it because it didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel earned. Don't get me wrong. Roman had the work ethic. Like, he would go into those matches and he'd put on the best of a show, the best show he could, but it never really landed for people. Like, if you think about WrestleMania 31, him and Brock Lesnar and the heist of the century, thanks to Seth Rollins, the match wasn't bad. Everybody was worried prior to that match happening, can Roman deliver? And he did. They both did. It was good. Thankfully, that match ended the way it did because it's cemented itself in wrestling history. But Roman wasn't necessarily remembered for that, or even his match the following year, against, I believe, Brock again. And then he had the match with Taker, which was just terrible. And I wouldn't put that on Roman entirely. But the whole thing was, when you lack promo skills, you can't get over with the crowd, but you're getting shoved down people's throats. Yeah, people aren't going to like that. And some people, like myself, would consider Roman overrated at that time, and everything was just so manufactured about his character, right? Like, we get it. He is the ultimate. They wanted to make the clone of John Cena, but using Roman Reigns. The thing is, though, my tribal chief redeemed himself when he came back in 2020. Sided with Paul Heyman, became a heel, and created the greatest storyline in WWE history, which is the Bloodline. So Roman did make a huge comeback, but I'm still going to put him at number 3 for the overrated wrestlers for that period of time, because there was no way you were going to convince me that that dude was the big dog. But he is the tribal chief, so I'm going to throw up my ones. Now, at number 4, here we go. Yep. I'm not putting him at number 1. I'm putting him at number 4. Anyways, he's not the last on the list. He's number 4. And that is the iconic Hulk Hogan. Yes, I know a lot of us wouldn't be here watching wrestling without Hulk Hogan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying that. And look, as a kid from the late 80s, I'm not that old. Yeah, I grew up watching Hulk Hogan. Was he my favorite? No. But Saturday morning cartoons, Hogan and the friends were there. And Hogan was just the thing, right? Like, he was Hulk Hogan, vitamins, supplements, say your prayers, and all that good stuff. That was Hulk Hogan, right? So growing up with Hogan, you don't really realize, again, you don't appreciate what wrestling is when you're a kid. You don't realize how much goes into it. But as you get older, you start to understand why you would consider Hogan an overrated wrestler. Iconic? Yeah. Technically, very limited in the ring. Now, before you people, yes, early days of Hulk Hogan, he was exceptionally amazing in the ring. Like, go back and watch his New Japan wrestling. He was really good. Drop toe holds and all this stuff. Like, he was very athletic. But I know the WWE had its own style of wrestling, and they wanted him to slow it down to be able to interact with, people like Andre the Giant and things like that. So again, because the style is so different, he had to adapt to the WWE style. But the thing is, once he adapted, he got very comfortable in that role. Now, you could say, yeah, that's his move list. It's his character gimmick. Sure. But even The Undertaker evolved over time, right? We all knew he was athletic initially, but he slowed it down for the gimmick of the dead man. But as time progressed and he became the American Badass and all that stuff, he basically became the man. That's the thing. So I would say Hogan never adapted, and his limited in-ring work didn't help either. And by the way, same matches, same formula every time. Like, how many times am I going to see the big boot, the leg drop, once or twice, bam, win? I get it. That was 80s and early 90s wrestling, and that's what got over. But at the same time, now when you look back at it, the matches don't have the replay value that you would expect it to have, right? And let's not even get into the other stuff, right? The politics. Hulk Hogan is the king of burying people. Like, we talk about this all the time, but Hogan is, the GOAT when it comes to burying people. Like, he's buried tons of people, not only in the WCW era, but WWE times, right? Like, go back and watch WrestleMania 9 when Bret Hart, was going to retain the title, I believe, from Yokozuna. And the last minute call was made when Hogan was brought in, and Bret lost, and Hogan defeated Yoko in his prime. Come on, dude. That too with the black eye. We won't get into that. But yeah, like, he's been burying people since then. And then when you go to WCW and the NWO, his contract was a whole other ballgame. This man would bury anybody he wanted to just to keep himself at the top. The fact that he let Goldberg beat him in Atlanta for the WCW title is shocking to me still to this day. But even when he came back to the WWE under Vince McMahon in 2002 in the NWO, he had terrible relationships, which is why he couldn't work with Steve Austin, because Stone Cold didn't want anything to do with him. The fact that The Rock gave him that opportunity and worked together, well, we have a historic match due to that, and an icon versus icon thing, which is amazing, don't get me wrong, but he's still terrible. If you want more examples, go back and watch the entire interaction with Shawn Michaels back in their feud in 2005. It was supposed to be a 3-stage match. Like, it was supposed to be 1, 2, 3 with Hogan winning, Shawn winning, then Hogan winning again, but Hogan called it last minute and made it into one match because his ego just couldn't do it. So Hulk Hogan, Yeah, definitely one of the most overrated wrestlers of all time. And he definitely overstayed his welcome in most promotions, whether it be WWE, WCW, TNA. Listen, the internet wrestling community has a lot of disdain for Hogan these days, and it is rightfully earned. I'm sorry, Hogan, you deserve to be on this list. Just be happy you're not number five. Moving along to number five, actually. This one, you could judge me for this, but this is how I feel as a wrestling fan. And I had to incorporate this individual because initially when they came in, I had a lot of high expectations and I was truly blown away by their first match, but then they fell apart. And number five, I have none other than Ronda Rousey. Like, what can I say? Great debut. The match with Triple H and Stephanie and Kurt Angle, I don't think any of us expected it to be as good as it was. It was insanely good. And she was really good. And don't get me wrong, she had the best partners to tangle with. You had Hunter, you had Angle, and even Stephanie, who's been in the industry for so long. She understands wrestling psychology, but Ronda stepped up her game that night and really proved why she belonged in the ring. And she did a great job. But then we started to see the cracks and the falls and the falterings, and her mic skills, they were terrible. Like, don't get me wrong, I know you go to the UFC and UFC doesn't require you to be great on the mic per se. You're not playing this persona or a gimmick. But when it comes to WWE, that's half the battle. In-ring skill is one thing, but being able to deliver in the ring with your promo skills, that's how you get over with the crowd. So I'm going to say that's even more than half the battle. That's like 70% of what you need. And Ronda really sucked. Like, let's be honest. And then she never adapted to pro wrestling, really. She never understood wrestling psychology. She broke the rules of kayfabe. Not only that, she would always badmouth people behind the scenes, and that would get out into the public eye, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes it's good because it creates this organic heat, but a lot of the times it was just nonsense spewing out of her mouth, and fans got really bored of it, including myself, right? So that rhetoric of her being incredible when she debuted, well, she became really terrible sooner than later, and I just got over it. And not just me, clearly fans turned on her very quickly due to the lack of her improvement and her attitude. People just couldn't forgive her, right? Like, you wanted to cheer for Ronda when she came out, and then you remembered how terrible she was in the ring, and then you remembered how terrible her attitude was, and then you also remembered how people talked terribly about her. You know what? It's a perfect recipe for being overrated in the realm of wrestling. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously she'll be an alumni and she'll have her impact in that world forever because it's Ronda Rousey, but I don't think it's going to be a very positive impact for the foreseeable future, or if she ever decides to come back, God knows what that's going to end up like. But nonetheless, Ronda Rousey, she makes the list, and not obviously none of them make the list for a good reason, but yeah, she's definitely not. She couldn't get a pass on this one. Now, of course, there are many other wrestlers who I think are overrated, but I chose these five today. And if you have thoughts on who are the other five individuals that you would categorize as overrated, I would love to hear that in the comments section. Now, before I sign off, I do want to say thank you again to everybody that's subscribed, that's liked, that's shared. Because of you, the algorithm is working and we're able to make more content. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I want to make this our full-time profession so we can give you more content daily. Now, if you like what you're seeing here, put the comments in at the bottom. That's what creates the engagement. I want to hear who you think is overrated, or give me other topics to cover. I would love to hear from you and what you think should be covered on this channel, because although I come with the hot takes, I can run out of them. I'm not running out of them anytime soon. By the way, if you want to see me cover some of the more recent stuff that's been happening with the world of wrestling, WWE, all the internal drama, or, some of the heat around John Cena's heel turn, let me know in the comments. I would love to cover some more stuff. But again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Hope you liked the video. Hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next week for Romi's Wrestling's Hot Takes. Yeah, I think it's better now. Yeah. Peace.